Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And this is Christina.
We are starting Taurus season with card number 5, the Hierophant. And we are going to get right into it because we have a lot to say.
I have a lot to say and I have a lot of feelings.
I wasn't super familiar with this card when I started my research. This is not a card that I see a lot of when I do readings for myself. So when Christina and I were getting ready to research this card, she was like, I have some spiciness about this card. And I was like, ooh, I love Christina's spice.
Honestly, for the longest time, when I was new in tarot, I kind of saw the Hierophant kind of like what actually the Justice card is for structures and laws and like written community contracts and things like that. I thought it was like, it's like marriages and it's like events that happen in your life, which it kind of is, but I was missing the deeper part of it, which is what I found when I was doing my notes for this podcast. But in my head, I kind of associated it with like law almost.
Yeah. What I have started thinking about is sort of a yin-yang dynamic between the Hierophant and the High Priestess. One of my books, Guided Tarot, explains this. She says, much like the High Priestess, the Hierophant is in near constant communication with the divine. The difference is that the High Priestess channels her knowledge through her intuition, while the Hierophant studies and learns by upholding traditions, participating in rituals, and teaching ancient knowledge to others. Having strong faith in a set of strict principles to live by, the Hierophant is happiest following a traditional course of study. What I kind of pulled from that is this idea of like yin and yang, form and formlessness. Another one of my books said it this way: searching outside of yourself for answers versus inside of yourself, which would be more the High Priestess. So then we get this theme of the seen and the unseen, the yin and the yang.
Gosh, I have 2 notes, 2.5 notes on the connection between Hierophant and High Priestess, since we're talking about the yin and the yang. The High Priestess represents intuitive secret knowledge, and the Hierophant represents institutionalized and esoteric knowledge, like publicly revealed community access knowledge. And on tarotcake.com, they were quoting Maddie Elruna. If the High Priestess is our experience of the divine, like our soul, spirit, unconscious, then the Hierophant is our understanding of it, how we understand it. And then I'll take it a step further from what I believe it is then how we express it. How do we explain it and how do we share it? Because we need to have the ability, you can have the ability to intuitively feel something, but then if I want to share it, I need to have the ability to share it. I can't just stare into Nicole's eyes and explain to her this vision I had. Like, I can feel it, but then I need to have the tangible earthly tools,
transmission,
to transmit it, to translate it, to understand it, to make sense of it in a way. And that to me is something that crystallized as well as we've been doing the deep dive on this card.
I think what doesn't work for me for this card, and I think in documentaries, and I think I've had some personal experience with this too, but sort of in the yoga world, in the spirituality world, there's some people that identify as a guru, and that sort of borderline crosses into some cult
Yeah.
mentality. And that's where I disagree with some of my books. One of my books says the Hierophant is the ability to guide others and holding the keys to knowledge and wisdom. And I can get on board with the ability to guide others, but I don't get on board with this idea that somebody else holds the keys to the knowledge and wisdom that I'm seeking.
Yeah.
I think a good teacher illuminates and reveals the teacher within you, and they don't say like the only way to reach enlightenment is through me. Some other concepts that came up in some of my books that don't work for me in regards to this card are the ideas of saintliness, conformity, hierarchy, authority, dogma, indoctrination, morality, fixed or authoritative beliefs that you accept without doubt or question, accepting a
Gatekeeping.
set of gatekeeping, accepting beliefs uncritically, not asking questions. That doesn't vibe with me. So that to me, that part of the Hierophant card belongs in the trash can.
Mm-hmm. And it's good that we're aware of how this card can be perceived, and the imagery of this card is used so that we will be challenged by it, intrigued by it, we'll learn about it, and then we'll begin to understand it. That's why we have this imagery today. If it was easy, would we have done this hard lesson of digging through so many websites and books and guides and doing everything we've been doing? We wouldn't have such a good understanding, because I waded through articles and chapters as I was deep diving this card. I'm grateful for that opportunity
Mhm.
to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's part of learning, identifying what
Mm-hmm.
works and what does not resonate.
And isn't that the message of the Hierophant, learning in the physical world? One of the messages.
I have a couple astrological happenings for Taurus season. April 19th, the sun enters Taurus. On April 23rd, Venus will conjoin Uranus in the sign of Taurus, the same day as the waxing half moon in Leo. On April 26th, Uranus will re enter Gemini. It had been in Taurus. So on the 26th, Uranus moves into the sign of Gemini. On May 1st, we have Beltane.
I'm giggling because you have Beltane and then you have some emojis. Yes. That was that you would take your livestock and everything and bless it with the flames. It just struck me as so funny. The little cow between the two fires. Oh my gosh. Okay. See, spiciness comes out in lots of different ways. Now I've got a case of the giggles.
May 1st is also the full moon in Scorpio. May 4th, may the 4th be with you. We can't
Oh,
not mention that.
yeah.
On May 9th, we have a waning half moon in Aquarius. On May 16th, our new moon in Taurus. And on May 18th, Mars enters Taurus, Venus enters Cancer. And on May 20th, the sun enters Gemini.
Oh, time just keeps marching on. Okay, I'll get started on my list so that we can get right to the card comparisons and start talking about symbology and meanings and themes. The card name is the Hierophant, the High Priest, and the Pope. The Hierophant is the name that has stuck mostly. The High Priest and the Pope are more. I wonder what the word archaic means. Does that mean like long time ago or just like has been phased out of usage?
Very old or old fashioned, no longer in everyday use of an early period.
So I can use the word archaic. To me, it has a stigma of being kind of like something that was found out to be untrue and we don't say it anymore. But it actually just means it's just been phased out. Okay. The Hierophant or Hierophant comes from the Greek traditions, and it's a person or a priest from ancient Greek who interprets sacred mysteries and esoteric principles. That is the definition from the Oxford Dictionary. The etymology is derived from two Greek words meaning to show and what is holy. So that is what Hierophant means. That's why we're still using this word in our tarot cards. The card number is V5. Element is earth. Is this a yes or a no? If you're doing a tarot card pull, this is a maybe. Zodiac sign Taurus. I look back on our notes from our Taurus episode, an ancient feminine auric type, because the aurics have horns too. The female ones have horns, just like the males. Physical. So the Taurus is the physical container for the unborn potential of Aries energy. This is where it manifests in this earthy Taurus container. Taurus energy burrows deep into the soil of life. It stabilizes, it grounds, and it is also represents our connection to earth, our bodies, our desires and values. And this being fixed earth, it has even more attributes of commitment and loyalty, and also groundedness and practicality. The planet is Taurus's Venus, but this card is ruled by the zodiac sign of Taurus. And this is the second house, ruled by Taurus, the house of value. The mantra is I have, or I own, or I value, and it's the house of possessions. Correspondences with the Hebrew letter Vau, VAU. The symbol is nail or connector. In the Hebrew language, the word means tent peg, and to hook, to add, to fasten, and to secure. The meaning is kindness. For the tree of life, this is the sixth pathway between Chakma and Chesed. Both of these spheres are in the right pillar. Chakma is the top sphere on the right pillar, and Chesed is the middle sphere on the right pillar. The second sphere of Chakma is wisdom, ruled by Neptune, and the fourth sphere of Chesed, mercy, ruled by Jupiter. For the chakra in my book, this has the causal chakra, or the fourth eye. This is the chakra that's located at the back of the head. It acts as a bridge to higher realms of consciousness associated with higher mind, spiritual purpose, and spiritual connection. It can help in processing past life information and karmic energy. And commonly, how common is this chakra? It's very uncommon to me, but it can be symbolized as a brilliant white opalescent light color or a light violet color. The crystal in my book has amethyst. The Hierophant symbolizing spirituality and tradition and wisdom. The amethyst is a spiritual growth stone, enlightenment, but there's also it also has other meanings of like the stone of sobriety and the stone of being more on the physical plane. And I can see that when we're talking about the Hierophant and the qualities of it. For me, in my collection, whenever I think of learning, wisdom, or intellectual work, I think of lapis lazuli. Somewhere, some time ago, I read a line about lapis lazuli and learning, and I have never let that go. It has stuck in my brain. It took root, and now it's a huge tree in my brain that lapis lazuli is for learning. I have lots of lapis. I was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan in my time in the military, and I had the opportunity to collect a lot of lapis, and I love it, so I was drawn to it. But I just realized as I was preparing my notes that I have a stylized small
Ooh.
sword. It's completely blunt, completely. Like there's no sharp edge to this at all. Like there's nothing. It's not sharp. It's very stylized, but it has a lapis lazuli hilt and a lapis lazuli scabbard, and it's a sword for the mind, intellect. This would be my Hierophant stone.
I like
this
it.
this sword. But what listeners, look at your collection, see what you already have. You could use colors, you could use the stone, you might follow the traditional stone associated with this with amethyst, or you just might have your own ideas about what crystals and what items go with this card. Symbols, very symbol heavy, this card. Everything on this card seems to be a symbol. There's nothing on this card that doesn't evoke some kind of reaction to me, down to the two little guys with their shaved heads. So and even the keys and even the pillars, everything. But anyway, so the symbols. Let's talk about our tradition that we're following generally through the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and the vestments and accoutrement of a pope or a high religious leader. The crown and the staff, or the shepherd's hook, or the item that is often held in the hand of that character, generally have 3 on them, and that is symbolizing the Trinity and also the 3 realms. The crossed keys are a symbol of the Pope and of that religious institution, but also the keys also now represent knowledge, because the key into the doorway opens up the world of possibility for you. So the keys represent knowledge, seeking knowledge, gaining knowledge, and attaining knowledge. That hand gesture of 2 fingers bent and 2 fingers up represents what is seen and what is unseen, what is hidden from view. It represents the visible earth and the invisible heaven. It illustrates our known and unknown world, but it's united. So it sometimes is called the bridge hand gesture or a blessing hand gesture. And we see that in some other tarot cards, and I've seen that in other illustrations. And I don't know if it's specifically religious or if it had like we would call this a mudra in the yoga world. We can look deeper.
I couldn't find a mudra that was exactly that, because I spent a lot of time on the hand gesture. And what I found was it is largely religious.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is.
It is what it is. I enjoyed reading about it and what it represents, and now I have different feelings about it. Before I understood what it was supposed to represent, I had feelings, and now I have different feelings about it. And I've come to peace with it, with that hand gesture. But that's what that means. It's called the bridge or a blessing, but it represents the connection between visible and invisible realms. We have a red cloak on this character, and that's energy and action, and also being very much in the material world. You think about the root chakra and that red vestment is a representative that this character and the energy of this character is in the physical world, like the magician, the emperor, and justice. And you think about some similar themes of those 4 cards being very much about the the earth, the physicality of our being. Roses and lilies, roses for love and also for physical life, lilies for purity and also for spiritual life. I just read that. Physical roses, spiritual lilies. So the themes, general, so general. This card has so many themes, but this card can represent traditions and customs, how we learn them, and our relationships with them. Okay. And also spiritual beliefs and values. How do we learn them? And what are our relationships with them? Going back to the Hebrew letter of vow, connector, this card is about the connection and the bridge, the character that has been given to us through the centuries of a religious, a high profile religious person who would preside over ceremonies. Weddings connect, baptisms recognize, bar mitzvahs, funerals, also teaching, guiding, and advising. People worked hard and long and continue to work full-time, hard, arduous jobs. We have a class of people who work in these positions who are religious leaders and doctors and lawyers and college professors, so that we can go to them to learn, that they can teach, that they can share, and that when you're searching for more knowledge, you can find an advisor or a mentor. This card can also represent all of that. Customs, traditions, weddings, funerals, but it could also represent you're looking for some more information. Oh, and my next point here is history, and I just kind of talked about the history. But it's very interesting that the Greek tradition that brought us the word Hierophant is coming from the Eleusinian Mysteries, which was a festival that they had in a city outside of Athens. And it was retelling of the story of Persephone, Demeter, and I put Hecate in that story because she was the witness in that story, which is a story of a triple goddess. Those three are often seen as a triple goddess for underground, above ground, and in between. But I thought that was very interesting as the historical point, and it has maintained because we went through the Greek influence, then we went through the Christian influence, and then we're going through the Golden Dawn influence, and then the Kabbalistic tree influence, that this card has maintained some of those characteristics, but that is kind of like one story that comes with this card, and I like that story. Oh, and I want to read this quote from tarot-heritage.com. In our secular age, this can refer to the Hierophant card. In our secular age, this can refer to scientists who understand the mysteries of laws and physics and make them understandable to laymen, or a doctor who explains complicated procedures to his patients in a way they can understand. The Pope is a spiritual advisor, and by extension, a mentor, therapist, philosopher, doctor, lawyer, any type of counselor. His teachings are based on traditional belief and are rooted in the norms of his society. He speaks directly from his lived experience rather than deriving his wisdom from books or subjective intuition, like the Popus or the High Priestess, subjective intuition. But I like that quote just because it kind of broadened out this, to me, to use the word archaic again, the symbols in this and the meaning of this, and to talk about it in our secular age and finding out that there are many different Hierophant energies in our world that we're dealing with that we might not be aware of.
I like that. Thinking of it as an energy rather than a person or a figure.
It's an exchange. It's an exchange of information. It can be as simple and basic as that. It's a conversation you're having with your lawyer. I hope, or your doctor. Or your astrologer or your therapist. Okay, I'm stopping on that because I'll just keep going.
So the number 5, this card is card 5. And the number 5 can convey conflict, challenge, crisis, change, instability, loss, shifts, and uncertainty. In Messages in the Numbers by Alana Fairchild, she says, when the 5 appears, however, we can be sure that whatever happened for us to make us either controlling or trusting will arise to be dealt with. And so there's these things in our lives that we think maybe we have a handle on. And then we have like a tower moment or like a 5 of cups moment. And we're like, yeah, I didn't have control over that. But what I think the 5s do is and we kind of we'll talk about this, I think, a lot next week with the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles. This concept of faith. And when we are in these periods of challenge and crisis and instability, what is that underlying force that's getting us through when we feel like we've lost control? Or when we feel like things are just happening to us. So and then, are we trusting something? Do we trust a greater power? And so we're kind of grappling with that. And I think that, because at first I was like, oh, these are kind of like a interesting collection of words for this card. But it's kind of like having some kind of structure. Spirituality, faith is kind of the antidote to these vibrations that the 5 carries.
I like that.
Okay, moving into card comparison. My first card is from the Zodiac Tarot. I love how she reimagined this card. We have a figure with long purple hair wearing a purple cloak with kind of some stars on it. One hand is in a similar, exact same. By similar, I mean the exact same hand gesture as the
bridge.
Hierophant, as the Hierophant in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. In the other hand, the figure is sort of holding this ethereal-looking celestial body that looks a little Saturnian because there's rings, but it also looks a little bit like the sun because we have some rays. What I came across when reading about the hand gesture was it can be a sign of a blessing, but it can also represent, Christina basically said this, it's just a different way to say it, but it's that maxim of as above, so below. So this card to me expands the energy or the idea of this card into the mysteries of the universe, astrology, the cosmos, and having that astrologer or somebody who can take all that information and relay it into a way that's like applicable to us lay people, because the language of astrology is technical and complicated. And if somebody just rattles a bunch of stuff off to me, it's kind of like a foreign language, and I do need a translator. So in this card expanded my viewpoint and understanding because it positioned the Hierophant in a different role. And I was like, oh, that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, like I get it now. I just don't like the symbology of some of the traditions and traditional tarot cards that we have today. My first card is the Spirit Song Tarot, card 5. The author calls this card the Shaman. The animal is the eagle, and the keywords are divine wisdom and spiritual powers. To me, that looks like a bald eagle, but the author doesn't specifically say what kind of eagle it is, but it does have the look of a bald eagle to me. A group of eagles is most commonly called a convocation. A convocation
Oh,
of eagles. When they're in flight, they could be called a soar of eagles. They're called an eyrie or an airy when they're in a family or in a nest. And then sometimes they're also called a congress or an army of eagles. Eagles are exceptionally powerful birds of prey. They are apex predators. They have incredible eyesight. They build massive nests. And bald eagles specifically have and can have an 8-foot wingspan. Can you imagine that bird coming at you? I mean, in our, we're both in North America, you and I, the indigenous people of this continent, the bald eagle was incredibly spiritual to them, an incredibly powerful totem, spiritual guide animal. They can weigh up to 14 pounds. They live for 20 to 30 plus years in the wild. And they do have a monogamous mating for life relationship with their partner. And they can fly up to 10,000 feet high. And I did talk about how the peregrine can is the fastest animal on the planet, but you know what? An eagle can dive at almost 100 miles per hour, and that's not too shabby compared to. I mean, that's pretty fast considering how massive these birds are. But the eagle as a spirit animal symbolizes freedom, right? And then piercing vision and the powerful connection to the divine. Bald eagles and these large birds of these large raptors represent messengers between us and the divine world because of how they live on the mountain peaks and they fly so high. So you can kind of see that bridge that the eagle, even though, and the author writes this in their guidebook, the eagle thrives in the realm of the spirit, yet remains fixed in the realm of earth.
so my next card from the Medicine Woman Tarot, renamed Peacemaker, the guidebook says look for your opportunity to make a subtle entry into the minds and hearts of those you want to affect. Timing and way of presentation are of the utmost importance. Because, if somebody is not seeking your advice, it's not going to land. So in this card, the Peacemaker figure is sort of doing just that. She has open palms, and there's sort of this like ethereal kind of like energy flowing from her hands, and it's being offered to this audience of like 5 other people in a very sort of light and gentle way, letting it flow to those who are receptive to what she has to say or offer. There's not a feeling of force, of you have to take this information without question. So I appreciate the energy of this card.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, some of these heavier words like dogma and
Mm-hmm.
indoctrination. This is very gentle, and the energy feels like it's being offered with no pressure.
For the Wild Unknown Tarot deck, it is card V5, the Hierophant, keywords mentor and seeking knowledge. In this card, there's a black crow holding on to a key in its claws. There's a bright yellow orange lightning bolt flashing behind the crow. And the bottom half of the card is all white, and the top half of the card has black lines in it. The crow has its beak open, like it's calling. The author writes, this card signifies the hunger for knowledge, whether it is in the practical or spiritual realm. You've come as far as you can on your own. Now is the time to deepen your practice. From that point of view, I see the crow as calling you, helping you find your way to that key of knowledge. To finding that your teacher, finding that book, finding that website, finding that article, that the knowledge is calling. The lightning bolt, I guess, is that point when you realize you've gone as far as you can go. Now you're like, boop, I need help, or I need a mentor, or I need to go buy that book, or I need to take that course. That's like the lightning of inspiration. Ready to
kind of like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, kind of a thing.
Yes, yeah.
In my Antique Anatomy tarot deck, we have 4 humerus bones. Humeri bones, I think technically is the correct plural way to say that. The 4 bones are arranged in such a way that they form the shape of the processional 3-tiered cross that we see in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck.
Mm-hmm.
And that cross can represent, the 3 tiers can represent faith, hope, and benevolence. I went down a teeny rabbit hole and learned about a new to me chakra called the humerus chakra. And there's an idea with this chakra that this is developed or active in enlightened beings. And then in addition to the bones, we have this green growth, these green leaves, which sort of suggests that there's growth happening, but also the way the plant is kind of growing around the bones, there's this sense of like adapting and evolving and finding your own way or your own path. That's what kind of stuck out to me a little bit, and maybe because I'm looking for that. But I do like this idea of like there's a structure available, but the freedom to find what works for you in that structure.
Oh my gosh, I just had a lightning bolt. You know how you have a trellis? It provides a structure for plants to grow on. That is like the trellis for that. That's what the Hierophant is that your spiritual growth, but sometimes you need a support system behind you. You need something that offers structure so that you can find your way.
Ascend.
That's like Hierophant. So it's not, there's no dogma behind a trellis. It's just there to help you. It's there to guide you in the direction to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And that actually, like, I actually have a trellis that looks like that shape. Mystic Mondays, we have an eye floating above a pyramid. And within the pyramid, there's stairs leading up from the base of the pyramid to the top. And the eye can symbolize higher perception, sort of witnessing consciousness or observer consciousness. And the pyramid and the stairs, again, this idea of frameworks, structures, levels of understanding, sort of your process of going up. And, you know, the eye is not inside the pyramid, it's above it. And so that's kind of like the whole idea, in a way, of this card, is that our insight kind of exists beyond the systems that try to lead us to it. It's just a framework. It's just the trellis.
For the Secrets of the Witch's Garden, this is card V for 5. It's called the Hierophant. The keyword is advisor. This card echoes the Rider-Waite-Smith traditions, but uses very different images to mean the same qualities. We have a crone standing in a doorway. The crone is wearing, it has all the same accoutrement as that Rider-Waite-Smith Hierophant. She has a ringlet with 3 levels of branches or twigs, red vestment, key at her wrist, her tools showing her wisdom and her expertise around her waist, and she is also showing the hand gesture of bridge or blessing, standing in the doorway between 2 pillars, but this time this is of a stone cottage and a doorway. The 2 little seekers are 2 children, which I wasn't crazy about the children falling from the treehouse in the tower, but here I'm like all about the fact that these are kids. I'm like, yes, that's the energy sometimes we need when we're looking for mentorship, is we need to show up with like that childlike curiosity. The little ones are in white. They've got their school books in their little bags ready to learn. There's red roses vining on the cottage. There's white lilies on the ground on either side of the doorway, and there's a stack of books, which I love, and there is an orange cat. And I looked up this spiritual, like the an orange cat as a spirit animal. So an orange cat specifically as a spirit animal embodies solar energy, warmth, and joy. The orange cats can symbolize personal transformation, high intuition, and prosperity. They boost your confidence, encourage creativity, and help remove mental blocks. All of those things to help you enter a learning environment.
I love that.
There's another little creature. Do you see the little creature by the little figure in the gown? It's a little stoat or weasel. It's gray and white. And or an ermine. Is that how you say that? Ermine? That other little weasel-like creature. I couldn't find exactly the color pattern there, but those creatures, the stoats or weasels, represent the power of focused intention and the ability to uncover hidden truths. You have the cat to be your little buddy, and then you have the weasel to help you dig in a little deeper and find and learn knowledge. Everything about that card is my vibes with the Hierophant. And the fact that the author decided to keep using the word Hierophant, I mean, I think it's helpful for like you and I as we're learners, right? In another, couple of years, maybe I can move past the names of things and really just understand the energy flow. And the card could be called something very different. And I feel like I would understand absolutely the energy of the card at this point too. But that is my favorite Hierophant out of our little collection.
In the Light Seers Tarot, we have a seated figure sitting cross-legged next to the base of a staircase. And the staircase is ascending upwards towards a sort of mandala-like pink sky. The figure's shirt has the
trellis
symbol, the trellis.
As we processional,
call it now. Yeah, the processional 3-tiered cross, aka the trellis. And I can't believe I didn't notice this until literally right now, but some of the symbols above the figure's head are different sort of spiritual and religious symbols from different systems. And so it's kind of, to me, saying like whatever path, whatever framework, whatever belief system you choose for yourself, it's all sort of kind of leading to the same spiritual enlightened place. And it's your choice. you get to choose which one fits you the best. And that's part of your ascension up the staircase, is maybe investigating the different systems and seeing what works best for you.
I like that. This is probably a story that I can go deeper into at another time, but one of my trips to Tulum, Mexico, we were lucky enough to go to this one historic site where you're actually allowed to climb up the pyramid to the top.
Mm.
Ooh, it was very steep. They had a rope to assist you if you needed to, and this was before COVID. This was years ago. I don't know if it's still allowed, but there was quite a mixed bunch of people ascending that pyramid. There were people with like not climbing gear, but like with socks and shoes and like water bottles. And then there was like my group. We were kind of like halfway. So we were prepared, but we were like fairly capable of doing it. And then there were some people who looked like that character in your card, barefoot, just smiling and happy. They were probably under the influence of something, but they were climbing up right alongside me, looking for that spiritual ascension. And when I saw this card, I thought immediately of that we all show up for the climb with our life experiences in our own way, with our own collections of like knowledge and gear, but we all climbed up side by side. And there was like 8 different ages, different nationalities, different everything. And we all got to the top, and we all stood at the top together in all of our various mind states.
And for some people, psychedelics are part of your spiritual journey.
While I was there on that site, nobody fell and nobody got hurt. And I hope that's true for everybody who decides to go up and down that pyramid. That even though some people were at different levels, everybody got up and down okay. But yeah, that we all show up different ways to climb up that pyramid. For my final card is the Sacred She Tarot deck. It's a card V for 5, and it's called the Wisdom Keeper. And this card, again, I mean, how could I have a favorite? This is also another favorite. There's an aged face in the center of the card with gray hair. It looks to be I said eagle feathers just because I'm under the influence of my eagle my eagle animal deep dive, but the feathers representing that wisdom and that knowledge. And the face has gray hair superimposed on top of a mountain with very earthy colors. And then there's another snow-capped mountain in the front, in the foreground of the card. There's a pine tree forest behind the character, dark greens. The sky is a pale blue-gray with a full moon at the top center of the card, in between the clearing and parting of clouds. And the figure is gazing so calmly and so knowingly back at you that that this card is ruled by Taurus. This feels very Taurus to me, this card. All the earthy colors, the trees, the mountain, the face, the age, the wisdom, and then the sky and the full moon. I love this card too. This is my favorite card. No, the other card is my favorite card. Yeah. Yeah, this is such a beautiful card. Like I totally get what this card means when I look at that card without all, and I'm going to use the word archaic again, without all the archaic symbology from some of the older tarot card traditions. I'm so grateful that so many people have reimagined tarot decks that we can learn from and we can use, because that's how we get these cards today.
One of my books even flat out said the Hierophant is patriarchal, and I was like, no. But in our decks, there's not a lot of
symbology. Yeah, the there's symbology not a lot of is. Sorry, we're getting so excited. The symbology used by some decks is patriarchal, but the
Yes.
card is not patriarchal.
My last card is from the Muse. We have a tiny cloaked figure sort of approaching a larger sort of muse-like figure sitting on a rock, and they look like they're on like a coastline. And I'm going to read this from the guidebook. It was so beautiful to me. The Muse is saying these words to the figure who has approached her. She says, "Sweet soul, thank you for visiting me. I ask you to look at the form in front of you. Are you worshiping me for the way I look? Or are you worshiping me for the way I act? Or do we worship the same? Aren't we the same, you and I? And therein lies the secret. I see your profound inner wisdom, and I see that now it is time to lead yourself in service." And this is what I said earlier, that to me, a real teacher brings out and develops our own inner ability. I loved that.
Yeah, that's great. They can't do it for you, but they can assist you. They can help you. They can guide you. They can share what they've learned.
Yeah. Okay, I have a collection of words. So, studying, searching, the idea of traditions, conventions, rituals, and paradigms, frameworks of belief, transmitting knowledge and wisdom, a spiritual guide, mentor, bridge, or trellis. I thought of the archetype in the in Kim Kranz's archetypes deck, the Guardian of Gnosis. This teacher and storyteller from the Tarot of the Pagan Cats. There's two little kittens in front of a bigger, kind of older cat. And the name of the card is Teacher and Storyteller. Maybe the crone archetype. The concept of namaste, the teacher revealing the same light within the student. Leading by example, what Christina was basically just saying. And then in reverse, rigid beliefs, dogma, closed mindedness, controlling authority figures, egocentric leadership, abuses of power, especially in the context of those presenting as gurus.
Mm. The Secrets of the Witch's Garden, the question to write the reversal. What lesson must I learn?
The deck that I chose for today are Goddess Guidance Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. I felt like after all this kind of form and yang and traditions and frameworks, that we needed some goddess energy. And I chose 3 cards, so card A, B, or C. And our first card, Irene, peace. There is no need to worry as everything is working out beautifully. Message from Irene. Even though appearances may seem chaotic, I assure you that a higher plan is in action. This all-loving power is carrying and supporting you completely. Relax into the arms of divine love and breathe away all cares, concerns, and worries. Put your focus into enjoying and appreciating each blessing. Your gratitude helps you attract even more blessings into your life. Various meanings of this card: give your cares and worries to heaven, pray, meditate, engage in peace enhancing activities such as yoga, sea salt baths, massage, naps, music, playfulness, and the like. About Irene, a Greek goddess whose sisters include the goddesses of lawfulness and justice, Irene brings peacefulness to all who call upon her. Irene helps us replace worry with faith. She also reminds us to retain our childlike awe and enthusiasm for life. Card B, Solace, bodies of water. Spend time near water, such as a lake, river, or ocean, to recharge your batteries. Message from Solace: water's curative effects are well known and well documented. Since the human body is composed almost entirely of water, This makes sense. Water can wash away sadness, pain, and the ill effects of suffering. Engage in purification rituals involving water more often, and you'll experience an uplifting in your spirit and outlook. Water's magical properties are amplified when you infuse it with your prayers and intentions. Whether you soak in a sea salt bath or bathe in a freshwater spring, you're sure to see the difference that water will make. Various meanings of this card: go for a meditative walk near water, take a vacation near the ocean, move to a home situated closer to a body of water, swim, take a sea salt bath to detox your energy and your physical body, drink more water. About Solus. Solus is a Celtic goddess, sun goddess, who oversees bodies of water associated with healing. The fountain of healing water in Bath, England is named in Solus's honor. Call upon her while conducting healing ceremonies involving water, while taking a revitalizing swim or bath, or when you need help arranging your schedule or finances to allow a trip to the ocean or lake. And our last card is card C, Butterfly Maiden Transformation. You are experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings. Message from Butterfly Maiden: as you go through this period of change, it's natural for you to wonder if your future is safe. I'm here to assure you that you are a part of nature's cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. To bring in your desired newness, you must first allow old parts of your life to fall away. These changes are to be celebrated, not feared. Give thanks for the shedding of the old, embrace all of the lessons it brought, and then let it go. Be giddy with excitement at the newness of the gifts that are now being bestowed upon you, and let their magic surprise and delight you. Various meanings of this card: don't be concerned about endings, as they're bringing in the new for you. Your prayers have been answered with this change. Let go of the old. Don't worry about these changes. They're truly for the best. Butterfly Maiden is a Native American spirit who ensures that crops yield healthy and bountiful harvests. She's a springtime goddess who helps us escape from any cocoon situation that's trapping us or impeding our growth or joy. If you're feeling stuck, she's a wonderful goddess to call upon during the emerging process. She'll also guide you through life transitions and help you spread your wings. Thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe.
And we'll be back next week with the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles. So until then, thank you. We love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.